like I said, I used to be obsessed with pop radio, and I used to, write down the top 40 and all that. I was always very into playlisting, like, and mixtapes and things like that. So I used to take my collection of CDs and tapes and everything, and I would just make all these mixes of, like, this is my energy mix, and this is my, and this is this theme mix and things. And I loved doing that. That's what I would do in my off time in the summer. Everybody loved listening to my mixes because you never knew it was going to come next. It was a big surprise. So I always loved doing that. And like I was saying about how I loved all the Lilith Fair artists, I had come to like a lot of other, like, independent artists that were doing similar things, and some of them had gotten an opportunity to go to Lilith Fair locally and perform, and had gotten some recognition that way. And I learned about a lot of them on mp3.com, which was kind of one of those sites when MP3s were new, where indie artists could make a showing. And my husband and I had actually made an album on there and done really well, like, as far as they used to pay for streams and stuff like that. And we made thousands of dollars from streams from our Christmas album that we made. And I had discovered a lot of female indie artists on there that I really liked. And so I had gotten their MP3s. And when in, like, the year 2000, a service came out called Live 365, which is where you could create an online radio station. And because of my great love of playlisting, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make an online radio station for myself so I can listen to all my own songs that I like that are in my library at work. Because this is before iPods and MP3, players and all that stuff. Like, I just wanted a way to take it to work. So I made a radio station and, put it online, and then I could go to work and log into it and listen. And that's where it started. And I called it Women of Substance because I wanted it to be all music by amazing female artists, whether they were indie or not, that had either some amazing, like, themes and lyrics, really deep kind of stuff, or it was just going to be really high quality, great sounding vocals and, melodies and stuff. So it was all about quality and depth. And so I called it that back in 2000. And then, eventually they started charging you to have these stations. And so mine just, once I left the opera and went work at home and stuff and didn't really need to listen to it, I just kind of let it go dormant because they were going to charge me. And then in 2007, I was just kind of really meeting a lot of cool female artists as I was performing around, and thinking, wouldn't it be cool to revive this thing and, put some of these artists on here that I've met, and, maybe even put my own music, because I just come out with my own album. And so I looked at it and I'm like, well, they're going to charge me this much to do it, and I really can't, justify that, but maybe I can figure out a way. So basically, I figured out, with the use of Sonic Bids, that I could take submissions from other indie artists that I didn't know about and mix them in with the ones that I already had, and, make enough money from the submissions, which was not a high amount because I was going to be promoting them with my station. And that allowed me to break even. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring this thing back online. And I started doing it. I was taking submissions through Sonic Bids first, and it really started catching on because I had a marketing mind about it from the beginning, only because, not that I was going to ever make money from it or anything, but I wanted to get the word out about these great artists. They were all things that I had chosen that I really liked, and I thought other people should hear them. So I immediately started an email list and started adding all of the artists that were getting onto the station, and then trying to get listeners to join the email list, and started Facebook page, and all that stuff was new then. Facebook, MySpace was big, 2007, 2008, but Facebook was pretty new, and Twitter and all that. And I immediately got on those platforms, got my WOS radio moniker, and started letting people know about the shows. When we basically at that point had a radio station style where there was music all the time. And then I started creating these specialized theme shows. And some of the first ones I created were, I think what was the first one I created? One that I created pretty early on that we still run now on the podcast. In fact, it just finished. It's called Music with a Conscience, and it's all about social justice music. And, so people really dig those themes, and I did things like Women in Harmony. And of course I did ones for Christmas. And I remember I did a St. Patrick's Day one. I did, patriotic songs. And then I did one that I loved doing so much called We've Got It Covered, which is cover versions of well-known songs, but they're completely done in a different way, but all by female artists. So that's kind of how it all started. And because I injected a lot of creativity and interesting, new programming and stuff into there, it just kept growing, and people really loved it a lot. And pretty soon it, grew into something where I was actually getting paid to put commercials on there and sponsorships.